Hello, crafty friends. Welcome to Fun Fold Friday. I'm Doreen DeCebus from It Begins with Ink and Paper, and I'm so happy you're joining me tonight. Sorry I'm a couple minutes late. Boy, I just don't know about these Fridays lately. They just seem to be, 7 o'clock just seems to be coming too fast. So, all right, let's get started. So I hope you have had a great week. It was a beautiful week here in the Northeast. I am just going to be putting some things down that I don't want to lose. And we'll talk about what we're going to make tonight. And I want to show you some designer series paper. And I might actually, even cut some more and change it up a little bit. So tonight we're going to be using let me just see where I put my stamp set. Right here, under a piece of paper, of course. The Delicate Pines bundle. And it is really beautiful, I have to say. It has all of these like snowflakes made out of pine boughs. And so it's a great Christmas set. It has Celebrate the Season, It's the Most Magical Time of the Year, Warmest Wishes, and then some different images that you can stamp. And it comes with, are you ready for this? 22 dies. So it is really a great set. And you can get some things that you can just cut out of regular paper. And then you have the dies to cut out the images and some of the designer series paper as well. It's a photopolymer stamp set, which we know Stampin' Up is working towards just those stamp sets. So it comes with the Elegant Pine Snowflakes designer series paper. So let's take a look at this. This would be so great for the backing of a scrapbook page or, I don't know, lots of things. And then on the other side, you have this beautiful just patterned paper. And that's kind of the theme for everything. This is one of the designs I was planning on using tonight, but I'm not sure, and I'll show you why. My card seems a little busy to me. And then this is the other side. This is the other one I'm using. I actually cut some snowflakes out of this. I don't want to lose these die cuts, so let me just move those up out of the way. This is the one I actually used for die cutting some snowflakes. We have this beautiful soft the Secrecy background, and then here we have some of the garden green. It's another beautiful paper with some of the pine cones on it. And here we have the old olive background. And then here's our last design. They're just really elegant pieces of paper. I'm going to keep this piece out just in case. Put this all aside. This is the card we're making tonight. It is a horizontal quadruple Z-fold card. And so when you open it up, it's going to stand like this. Really pretty. You get the beautiful Z-fold. And you have these 4 Z-folds that go across the front. This is a Sue Campfield Fun Fold. She did not make a card with this paper or designer series paper. So I designed it myself. There's on the back. So you have a place to write because you can see that there's not much on the front. And my worry about it being kind of busy is with the designer series paper and the snowflake. I tried to add the Merry Christmas there to kind of break it up a little bit. And so you tell me what you think. If you think I should use a less busy piece of designer series paper that I'm using to kind of let the snowflake pop afterwards. So let me know as you keep joining on. So what I'm using tonight, I have 2 scraps of basic white and old olive that I used the branches die kit. I put everything aside and now I'm like, don't know where. It's called the branching out dies. I'm sorry about that. It's been a long week at school. That's all I could say. And let me just show you the dies. I did not buy the stamp set that goes with these dies, which is unusual for me. But I loved everything in here. Doesn't need a stamp set to cut out. So you've got these beautiful dies that will layer on each other, and then you have some other images that you can pop out. So I use those to cut those out. And then I have, let me move my designer series paper for a minute. I'm not going to move these because they are all in order. I don't want to lose them. I've got a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 piece of basic white cardstock. And then I have some 1/2-inch strips. This one is a 1/2-inch strip that's going to go on this page. So it's going to need to be 5 1/4, excuse me, not 4. These, let me get my little notes over here. Those smaller pieces, I have 4 of each. And I have, they are 1/2 inch by 1.5 inch for this one. And then the longer one is 1/2 inch by 3 5/8. So those are the smaller pieces. I'll put those back here. We're going to be cutting and scoring this piece. But this piece measures 3 inches by 9 inches. And then I have a 4 1/4 by 9 inch piece, and both of these are old olive cardstock. So again, this is, hi Rosalind, this is the card we're making tonight, and my question to everyone is, does this front part look just a little too busy? And should I change this to more of a neutral cardstock? Designer series paper. Okay, so let's do our cutting and scoring. So I'm just going to get my card, base, everything, get out my paper cutter, and I'm going to score these exactly the same. So the larger piece, I'm just going to score at 1 3/4 and 3 1/2. So let me just. So 1 3/4 and 3 1/2. Okay, so that's the first one done. And this one again is 3 by 9, but we're going to be cutting it. And these are the 4 small Z strips, and they're going to measure 3/4 by 9 inches, and they're going to also be scored at 1 3/4 and 3 1/2. And I kept it as a solid piece of paper because I felt it was easier to score this and then cut it. So that was my thinking. And I'm just going to cut them into 4 3/4 inch paper. So let's go to 3/4 of an inch, and we'll end up with 4 of them. And this way they're all scored, and we don't have to worry about scoring all the little pieces. Okay, So I do think I am going to cut this piece of green that's a little bit less. I think I'm going to keep the inside piece on the back. So let me cut these really quickly. It won't take long. I'm going to be cutting 1.5 by 4 inches first. So let's just cut this at 4 inches. And we'll try this and see if it's a little bit less busy. So I'm going to need 2 of these. So 1.5 by 4. Okay, I'll put those aside. Then we're going to need 1/2 by 3 5/8. Okay. So 3 5/8. And we're going to need 4 1/2 inches. I think this will we'll have some of both and we can make a decision as we're going along. But it will give us a choice and maybe take a little bit away from the busyness. There we go. So we'll put these over. And then we need the 1/2 inch. So we need 1.5 inches by 1/2 inch, and we'll need 4 of those. Since I had such a busy week, I didn't design this until this afternoon, and so I didn't have time to try another one with a different color designer series paper. Okay, there we go. We are ready to rock and roll. And so I'm going to start by folding this card. So let me just get my bone folder. So we're going to fold it like we're folding it in half, and then we're going to fold over for that Z fold. And I'm just going to make sure I don't have any little edges right here. Okay. Okay, so there's our first Z fold. And what I'm going to do is like I said, I think I'm going to keep this piece the same on the inside. So we'll see that peeking through. So I'm going to add that right now, just using my Stampin' Seal. There we go. All right. Now, we're going to take these pieces and we're going to be folding kind of in the same way. We're going to fold it like we're folding it almost in half. And then we're going to fold this piece back. Give it a nice crease again. And this is going to be going onto our card like this. To make those, we're going to be doing 4 of them. So let me get the rest of these folded. So you're just going into that second one and folding it over like we're just making a card, and then fold just like the Z fold. Gives us 2. It's an easy card to make, but I will say it's a little bit time consuming. So that's just getting all of these little Z folds made. Okay, so that is all said and done. Now, let me just take some of these. I'm going to put my back on first. We'll put these aside. So I cut this piece of designer series paper just a little bit long. I always do that because I want to make sure it's going to fit across the bottom in case my, measurements are off a little bit or anything. So I'll attach it right up to one side, bring it over, and then I just trim the edge. And I just think it will be easier to put this on the back right now before it has everything glued on. There we go. Okay, so now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start putting those pieces on. So I'm going to use tear and tape for this because I want these to stay on really well. So for the top and the bottom, I am going to put my adhesive, my tear and tape right on the base that it's going on. The next two I'll be putting it on the little Z fold. But I think that'll be a little better. Okay, so there's those two. I always, with my tear and tape, I just use my bone folder, make sure it's adhered really well, and then I can tear it off, tear the pieces off, and then line this up. So as I said, the longer piece here is going to line up, and I'm going to match this right at the edge and the top of the card. We want it to be able to go straight across. Okay, so there's that piece. Now let's work on the other piece. There we go. And again, I'm just lining it up evenly with the bottom edge. Okay, and I'm going to now put on these other pieces because I want to line them up pretty evenly to go across. Okay, so for this I'm going to put now the tear and tape on this so that I don't have to worry about that I put the tear and tape in the wrong place. Got my little trash can way over out of camera. Okay. So this one's going to go right here. And then we'll do the same on this one. And then we'll be adding the tape to the other ends. Okay, that looks good there. So now I am going to, I guess I'm going to put it all on the back end. We could do this really quickly. All right, that is all set, and that's all we're going to need for our tear and tape tonight. Get all these pieces off. There we go. Okay, let's go back to the front of our card. So again, I'm going to start with this top one. I want it to be matched right over. I want them nice and straight. So that we can close our card nicely. Okay, so there's the base of the card. So everything's done there. Okay, so now I'm going to decorate the outside with this other designer series paper, and then we can compare the two cards afterwards and see which one we like the best. So this is going to go right over these end pieces. So they'll cover up most of the pieces going over, but there still will be a little bit of texture there. That's kind of cool. Okay, so there we have that. And now let's get the rest of our pieces on. So it still gives it a little bit of nice texture on the back using this back side of the designer series paper. Now this might not be a Christmas card I would use for, design for all my Christmas cards, because it does take a little bit longer to make, but I do send out some special ones to my family and my closest friends, so this would be perfect for a card that would be perfect for them. Okay, now just the little pieces, and then we're in the final stretch. And I think I like having the design, the lighter one with the design on the underneath. All right, so now this is what it looks like looking down at it. And the back side. Okay, now let's make, so I had cut out a bunch of different snowflakes out of the paper. Let's start by putting layering these two pieces. And now I want to kind of set that a little off center. I didn't do it that one for that one, so I'm going to use dimensionals to I put it more in the center so I don't have to worry about any way on the ends for the snowflake to sit off the card, but this will hold it nice and steady. I think that's it. So this time, like I said, I'm going to turn it a little bit off-centered. There we go. Yeah, I already like that better. Not as busy. So I think, hi Angela, but we'll still compare. So I used the, I'll show you the dies afterwards because they're sitting on this. I used the these dies to take to die cut Merry Christmas because I wanted something, you know, as I said on the first one, that's a little bit busier. I wanted to pull out that cherry cobbler and have it not be right, you know, just with all the greens. When I cut these words out, they're brand new dies. I just opened the package. I got them actually yesterday. I didn't realize that the first letter didn't came out die cut separate. So that was a little worrisome as I was putting it all together. So the A and the S, well, all of the S and part of the A is not going to, is going to be hanging off the card. So I'm going to just put some glue on the Merry first. Now normally I would use an adhesive sheet on this, but knowing that it was going to hang off the snowflake, I didn't want to do that for this. Okay, so we're going to put the Merry right above the center. We'll put the M. There we go. But it looks kind of nice with, you know, with, you can separate the M a little bit from the Merry. Then we'll add our Christmas. So I'm only going to put adhesive on part of the A because part of it's going to hang over. And I'm going to put this right below. Okay. And we'll add the C, and then we'll add that little tiny dot for the I It's always the hardest part. Now, I don't think the hardest part is adding it. I think the hardest part is not losing it. And so I'm going to put a little tiny dot of glue right above the eye. And then I will grab the little tiny piece and that's what the start of our tag looks like. We'll add some bling to it. And so the dies I'm using, I didn't even put away the Merry Christmas because I was so afraid that I have to still punch out some of the, but they are the Words for the Seasons die. And you've got New Year, Christmas, Halloween, autumn, happy, holidays, I think I said New Year, wishes, and this one is greetings. So this one's greetings. So that is that die set. Okay, so now what I probably should have done was die cut this in the cherry cobbler. I think I'm going to change that just because I can. So I'm just going to carefully take the old olive off. It didn't ruin the tag at all. And I'm going to get those tags out, and we'll just, I think if we cut it in the red, now that it's right up against the, the green paper, I don't think I like the green. And we'll get our bling out. And I might even add some of those smaller snowflakes that I have. So I'm going to use this will fit on my mini Stampin' Emboss piece, little machine. So we're just going to put that on and run it through. I think I'm going to like both of the cards as they are, but I'm definitely going to like this better than the green. Okay, so we'll just put a little bit of adhesive. Still has enough probably on it, but I'll just add a little bit more. And I'm going to put some dimensionals just at the top and the bottom. Then I don't have to worry about those other rows. There we go. And let's put the bling on, and then I'll show you both cards side by side. And the other thing I could do is have some of these smaller snowflakes. Oh, I think I like that. All right, let's add those on a dimensional. So we're just doing this card just a wee bit different. So we'll put that one closer. This one a little further off. Or maybe and then I think I'm going to add a little bling. Covers up the little tiny cherries. All right, and that's what the front of that card looks like up close. And so it will stand like that. You can see the other designer series paper, the back. You have this on the back. So we have not so busy and a little bit busy. What do you think? Which one's your favorite? I like them both, but I'm leaning towards this one. It just doesn't have so much going on. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. And I will be back next Friday with another edition of Fun Fold Friday. And of course, I'll be back Sunday night for a new month of Simply Stamping Sunday. And I have a new set that we'll be using, some new designer series paper. We're going to have a lot of fun with everything that we're going to be doing for October. So have a great evening, everyone, and I'll see you Sunday night. Good night, everybody.